Hey guys, tonight we're going to be talking about a part of Roman history that most people would rather forget the miserable lives of slaves. We're not talking about the glorious legions or the marble temples. No, we're talking about the silent, invisible backbone of the Roman Empire. The people who built the roads, tilled the fields, and served the masters without a name or a voice of their own. It's a brutal reality, a world of chains and suffering, and you probably wouldn't survive it. Not for long. Anyway, so, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening tonight, let me know where you are and what time it is for you in the comments. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're a new man, and you're no longer a man. The old you, the one who lived in a small village, who had a family and a name, is gone. He died on the battlefield, or he was captured in a raid, or maybe he was simply sold by a desperate family. It doesn't matter how you got here. What matters is that you're here. You're in a city of marble and noise and people, a city you've only heard of in stories, a city that feels as foreign as the moon. The language, a harsh guttural sound, is a constant assault on your ears. The clothes, a rough tunic that chafes at your skin, are a constant reminder of your new status. You're a slave, a piece of property, a thing. The journey here was a nightmare. You were packed into the hold of a ship with dozens of others, the air thick with the smell of unwashed bodies. Fear and human waste. The chains that bound your ankles were a constant, heavy weight, a symbol of your new reality. The food was a tasteless porridge, and the water was brackish and warm. You learned to sleep in short, fitful bursts, your body a mass of aches and pains. You learned to ignore the cries of the sick and the dying. You learned to be a ghost, to fade into the background, to not draw attention to yourself. This is the first rule of being a slave: do not be seen, do not be heard, do not exist. Now you're here, in a bustling port city, a city of 100 smells, the sweet scent of exotic spices, the cloying smell of perfume, the bitter stench of garbage, the salty air of the sea. It's a sensory overload, a dizzying cacophony of a world that is not your own. You're a part of a long chain, a human caravan, being led through the streets by a man with a whip. His name is Lupus, and he is a slaver, a man who sees you not as a person, but as a commodity. He barks orders in that harsh tongue, and you learn to follow them, not with your mind, but with your body, your instincts. You learn to read the look in his eyes, the twitch of his hand, the tightening of his grip on the whip. The final destination is the slave market. It's a vast, open square, filled with people. Not people like you, but people who are buying and selling. They are men and women of all classes. Their faces a mix of boredom, greed, and curiosity. You are pushed onto a raised platform, a temporary stage for a tragedy. The chains are removed, and you are made to stand, to be looked at, to be prodded and poked like a piece of livestock. The slaver, Lupus, shouts out your attributes, your age, your strength, your potential. He tells them you're a good worker, that you're strong, that you're quiet. He lies. Of course, he doesn't know you. He doesn't care. He just wants to get the best price. The buyers are a grim collection of faces. A fat man with a cruel smile. A woman with a cold, haughty expression. A young man with a look of bored indifference. They look at your teeth, your hands, your legs. They check your muscles, your posture. They ask you questions in that harsh tongue. Questions you don't understand. Lupus answers for you, of course. He tells them you're healthy, that you're not a troublemaker. He tells them what they want to hear, and you stand there, a thing to be judged, a thing to be bought and sold. This is the ultimate humiliation, the ultimate loss of self. You are no longer a person, you are a price. And then it happens. The bidding begins. The numbers are thrown out, the shouts, the gestures. You don't understand the words, but you understand the tone. It's a game, a gamble, and your life is the prize. The bids go higher and higher, the numbers getting bigger and bigger. And you stand there, a silent witness to your own dehumanization. And then, it's over. A hand is raised, a final price is shouted, and the hammer falls. The game is over. You have a new owner, a new master, a new life. Your new owner is the fat man with the cruel smile. His name is Marcus, and he is a rich man. A man who owns a vast estate. A man who has 100 slaves. He looks at you, not with a look of malice, but with a look of ownership, of a man who has just acquired a new tool. He gestures for you to follow him, and you do. Your body now a puppet on a string, a puppet with a new master. You're given a new chain, a new tunic, a new name. Your old name, the name you once had, is gone. It's a small thing, a word, but it's a piece of your identity, a piece of your past, and it's gone forever. You are now Marcus's property. You are now just a slave. The journey to your new home is long. It's a journey through the heart of the Roman Empire. A journey that shows you the immense power and wealth of this new world. You see vast fields of wheat, tended by lines of slaves. You see beautiful villas, with their marble pillars and their manicured gardens. A world of luxury and opulence that feels 1,000,000 miles away from your new reality. You see the roads, the famous Roman roads, a testament to the power of human labor, a testament to the power of slavery. You, a slave, are a part of the very system that built this world, and you are a part of the very system that suffers for it. Historians still debate the exact number of slaves in the Roman Empire at its peak, but most agree it was a massive and fundamental part of the economy, perhaps making up 1/3 of the population in some areas. The sheer number of slaves is a dizzying, terrifying thought. You are not alone. You are a part of a vast, invisible army of suffering, a silent majority that holds up the entire Roman world. This is your new reality, a reality of chains, of work, of suffering. A reality where your past is a forgotten dream and your future is a blank page, to be filled not by you, but by your master. This is the miserable life of a Roman slave. You arrive at Marcus's estate, a vast complex of buildings, fields, and vineyards. It's a world within a world, a self-contained universe of power and pain. You're led into the slave quarters, a dark, damp, and crowded space that smells of sweat and fear. The other slaves, 100 or more, look at you, their faces a mix of indifference and pity. They know what you've been through. They know what's coming. They know that you're a new man, and that you're about to be broken. You are given a place on the floor, a small, hard space that will be your bed, your home, your world. You are given a bowl of gruel and a piece of bread, your first meal in your new home, and you eat it. Not because you're hungry, but because you have to. Because survival is the only thing that matters now. The next morning, the work begins. You're woken before the sun. The sound of a whip, a harsh alarm clock. You're given a hoe, a simple tool that will be your constant companion, and you're led out into the fields. The work is relentless, a brutal, back-breaking cycle of tilling the earth, planting the seeds, and harvesting the crops. The sun is a relentless, cruel master, beating down on your back, turning your skin to leather. The overseer, a man with a whip and a cruel smile, is a constant, watchful presence. His eyes on you, his whip a constant threat. You learn to work, not with your mind, but with your body, your muscles, your bones. You learn to ignore the pain, the thirst, the hunger. You learn to be a machine, a tool, a thing. Oh, you learn the names of the other slaves. A man named Titus, a strong, silent man who was a soldier in his old life. A woman named Lyra, a beautiful, sad woman who was a weaver in her old life. A young boy named Cassius, a boy who reminds you of your own son. A boy who has not yet been broken. You find a small, silent camaraderie with them, a shared understanding of your mutual suffering. You don't talk much, not about your past, not about your hopes, not about your fears. You don't have to. You understand each other with a look, a nod, a silent gesture. You are a family of chains, a community of pain, and you learn about the rules of the house, the intricate, unwritten laws of slavery. You learn that some slaves have it better than others. The house slaves. The ones who work in the villa, in the kitchens, in the baths, are a different class of people. They have better food, better clothes, better living quarters. They are closer to the master, closer to power, closer to the source of their suffering. And there is a silent, bitter resentment between the field slaves and the house slaves. A class system within a class system. You learn that even in slavery, there is a hierarchy, a pecking order, a constant, silent struggle for power and survival. You learn a few words of the harsh language, a few simple phrases that help you to get by. You learn the words for yes and no, for work and food, for water and pain. You learn to use them sparingly, to not draw attention to yourself. The less you speak, the less you exist. The less you exist, the safer you are. This is the second rule of being a slave. Do not be. You hear stories, whispers in the dark of the slave quarters. Stories of rebellion, of great slave revolts, of men who fought for their freedom and for their dignity. Stories of a man named Spartacus, a man who led an army of slaves and gladiators against the Roman legions. A man who became a legend, a symbol of hope. The stories are whispered in hushed tones. In the dead of night, a dangerous, beautiful dream that lives in the hearts of every slave. You listen to them, your heart a mixture of fear and hope, your mind a battlefield of what is and what could be. You know that rebellion is a fool's errand, that the Roman legions are too powerful, too vast, too merciless. But you also know that hope, even a small, foolish hope, is the only thing that keeps you going. Your new life is a constant, grinding rhythm. The Roman sun rises, and you are in the fields. It sets, and you are back in the slave quarters. There is no day of rest. There is no moment of quiet. There is only the work, the heat, the hunger, and the constant fear of the whip. The overseer, a man named Varro, is a former slave himself, a man who has learned the harsh lesson that to survive, you must be crueler than the master. He is a constant, watchful presence, his eyes everywhere, his whip a frequent companion to your aching back. He seems to take a perverse pleasure in your suffering. A man who has learned that the only way to escape the bottom is to step on the necks of those below you. The fields are vast, stretching out as far as the eye can see. You are a part of a human machine, a long line of slaves, all moving in perfect, agonizing unison. The hoes rise and fall, the dirt turns, the seeds are planted. The work is relentless, and there is no room for error. A slow pace, a moment of rest, a look of defiance. Any of these things can earn you a taste of Varro's whip. You learn to work with a kind of detached efficiency, a robotic precision that keeps you safe. You learn to turn your mind off, to not think about the sun, the hunger, the pain. You learn to be a ghost, a body without a soul, a tool without a mind. But even in this dehumanized existence, there are moments of connection. In the dead of night, after the work is done and the overseer has retired, the slaves in the quarters whisper stories. Stories of their past lives, of their families, of their homes. A woman named Lyra, the weaver, tells you of the beautiful patterns she used to create, of the vibrant colors and the intricate designs. A man named Titus, the soldier, tells you of the battles he fought, of the victories and the defeats, of the camaraderie of his fellow soldiers. And a young boy, Cassius, tells you of the games he used to play, of the sun on his face and the wind in his hair. These stories are a precious thing, a small rebellion against the masters who want to take your past and your identity. They are a way of holding on to the memory of who you once were. You, in turn, tell them of your village, of the simple life you once led, of the fields you once tilled. Not as a slave, but as a free man. You talk about the taste of the bread from your mother's oven, the warmth of the fire in your hearth, the sound of your wife's laughter. These memories are a bittersweet thing, a mix of joy and pain, but they are a part of you. They are the things that Varro, with all his whips and all his cruelty, can never take away from you. The master, Marcus, is a distant, godlike figure. He lives in a world of luxury and opulence that feels a million miles away from the dirt and sweat of the fields. You only see him on rare occasions, when he rides out to inspect his property. A man on horseback, his face a mask of bored indifference. He is not a cruel man, not in the way that Varro is. He is simply a man who sees you not as a person, but as an investment. You are a tool, and he is a man who expects his tools to work. The fact that you are a person, that you have a past and a soul and a family, is an inconvenient truth that he chooses to ignore. Historians still debate whether Roman slave owners were truly oblivious to the suffering of their slaves, or if they simply compartmentalized their cruelty to justify the system. For you on the ground, it doesn't matter. The result is the same. The suffering is real. You learn that there are different kinds of slavery. A new slave arrives, a man named Caius, a man who was once a schoolteacher. He tells you of his old life, of the great books he used to read, the great minds he used to study. He tells you that he was a house slave, a man who worked in the master's villa, a man who had a slightly better life than you. He tells you of the other house slaves, the ones who had it even better, the ones who were personal attendants, cooks, or even tutors for the master's children. He tells you of the intricate, dangerous web of politics and backstabbing that existed in the villa, a world where a wrong word, a misplaced glance, could get you a beating or a banishment to the fields. He tells you that the chains of a house slave are not made of iron, but of fear, of uncertainty, of the constant threat of a fall from grace. He tells you that even in slavery, there is a hierarchy, a pecking order, a constant, silent struggle for power and survival. You listen to him, your heart a mixture of pity and a kind of bitter, cruel jealousy. You, in your dirt and sweat, in your constant, grinding labor, at least know where you stand. You are at the bottom. You have nowhere to fall. But Caius, the house slave, lived his life on a precipice, a constant, silent struggle for a better place, a struggle that he ultimately lost. You realize that your chains, though made of iron, are at least honest. They are a constant, heavy weight, a symbol of your new reality. But the chains of a house slave, though invisible, are a different, more insidious kind of suffering. The harvest comes. A brutal, exhausting time of year. You are in the fields from before sunrise to after sunset, your body a mass of aches and pains, your mind a foggy wasteland of exhaustion. The crops, the grapes, the olives, they are all a part of the vast, intricate machine that is the Roman Empire. You, the nameless, faceless slave, are a part of that machine. You are a part of the reason that the Roman citizen can eat his bread, drink his wine, and bathe in his luxurious baths. You are a part of the reason that the Roman Empire is what it is. And for your part, for your endless toil, you get a bowl of gruel, a piece of bread, and a place on the cold, hard floor. This is the miserable life of a Roman slave. But even in the midst of this misery, there are small moments of resistance. A slow pace when Varro isn't looking, a small act of sabotage, a broken tool, a damaged crop, a whispered word of hope, a shared look of defiance. These are small things, of course. They are not the great, glorious rebellion of Spartacus. But they are a way of holding on to your humanity. They are a way of saying, in a silent, unspoken way, I am not a ghost. I am not a machine. I am a person. And you can never take that away from me. And in those small moments, in those small acts of defiance, you feel a flicker of hope. A small, dangerous, beautiful flicker of hope. And you learn that hope, even a small, foolish hope, is the only thing that keeps you going. The latifundia, the vast Roman farms that stretch across the Italian countryside, are a world unto themselves. They are a world of endless fields and relentless labor. A world where the only sound you hear is the groaning of your own muscles and the sharp crack of a whip. You are a part of this world now, a part of a human machine designed to produce food for the Roman Empire. The work is brutal, a constant cycle of back-breaking labor from sunup to sundown. Your hands are a mass of calluses and blisters. Your back a constant ache. The sun, a relentless, cruel master, beats down on you, turning your skin to leather. The overseer, Varro, is a constant, watchful presence. His eyes everywhere, his whip a constant threat. He is a man who takes a grim satisfaction in your suffering. A man who knows that his own survival depends on your compliance. But even in this brutal world, you find a small community, a small family of chains. There is Titus, the former soldier, a man who has learned to endure, to survive. There is Lyra, the former weaver, a woman who finds a small, quiet rebellion in the stories she tells, in the memories she holds on to. And there is young Cassius, the boy who is not yet broken, the boy who still has hope in his eyes. You, in your old age, are a kind of father to them, a kind of anchor in a world of constant, violent motion. You are a man who has seen a life of freedom, and a man who has seen a life of slavery, and you understand the importance of holding on to the memory of the one in order to survive the other. The food is a tasteless gruel, the water is warm and brackish, and the slave quarters are a dark, damp, and crowded space that smells of sweat and fear. There is no privacy, no dignity, no personal space. You sleep on the floor, your body a mass of aches and pains, your mind a foggy wasteland of exhaustion. But in the dead of night, after the overseer has retired and the other slaves have fallen into a deep, dreamless sleep, you and your small family of chains whisper stories. Stories of your past lives. Stories of your families. Stories of your homes. These stories are a precious thing, a small rebellion against the masters who want to take your past and your identity. They are a way of holding on to the memory of who you once were. Historians often debate whether a slave's life in the Roman Empire was better or worse, depending on their location. Whether a rural slave on a vast farm like this suffered more or less than an urban slave in a wealthy Roman household. For you in the fields, the answer is a simple one. The suffering is real, the chains are real, and the dehumanization is real. The only difference is the scale. In a Roman household, your suffering might be more intimate, more personal. Here, it is a vast impersonal thing, a part of the greater machine of the Roman Empire. You are a small, insignificant cog in a vast machine of suffering. The harvest comes, and the work becomes even more brutal. You are in the fields from before sunrise to after sunset, your body a mass of aches and pains, Your mind a foggy wasteland of exhaustion. The crops, the grapes, the olives, they are all a part of the vast, intricate machine that is the Roman Empire. You, the nameless, faceless slave, are a part of that machine. You are a part of the reason that the Roman citizen can eat his bread, drink his wine, and bathe in his luxurious baths. You are a part of the reason that the Roman Empire is what it is. And for your part, for your endless toil, you get a bowl of gruel, a piece of bread, and a place on the cold, hard floor. This is the miserable life of a Roman slave. But even in the midst of this misery, there are small moments of resistance, a slow pace when Varro isn't looking, a small act of sabotage, a broken tool, a damaged crop, a whispered word of hope, a shared look of defiance. These are small things, of course. They are not the great, glorious rebellion of Spartacus, but they are a way of holding on to your humanity. They are a way of saying, in a silent, unspoken way, I am not a ghost. I am not a machine. I am a person. And you can never take that away from me. And in those small moments, in those small acts of defiance, you feel a flicker of hope, a small, dangerous, beautiful flicker of hope. And you learn that hope, even a small, foolish hope, is the only thing that keeps you going. The latifundia, with its endless fields and its grinding rhythm of labor, has become your entire world. The seasons change, the crops are planted and harvested, and your body grows older, more weary. You've been here for years now, a silent, anonymous part of the Roman machine. Titus, the old soldier, is a ghost now, his body broken by the relentless work. Lyra, the weaver, is gone too, sold to a new master in the city. Only young Cassius remains, no longer a boy but a strong, silent man who carries the weight of his past with a quiet dignity. You, in your old age, are a living memory, a silent testament to the lives that have been lived and lost here. One day, your world changes. A new group of slaves arrives, not from a battlefield, not from a captured village, but from a mine. They are ghosts, their faces pale and gaunt, their bodies covered in a fine layer of dust, their eyes, a hollow, haunted look, tell a story of a suffering you can't even imagine. They whisper stories in the dead of night, stories of a world below the ground, a world of darkness and dust and death. They tell you of the mines, the copper and the iron, the gold and the silver. They tell you that the mines are a world of no sun, no sky, no hope. They tell you that a man who goes into the mines never comes out, not alive. Anyway, a common historical truth is that working in Roman mines and quarries was one of the worst fates for a slave, with a life expectancy of just a few years due to the brutal conditions, accidents, and diseases. You listen to these stories, your heart a mixture of pity and a terrible, cold fear. You, in your life of brutal labor in the sun, at least have the sun. You at least have the sky. You at least have the wind on your face and the earth beneath your feet. But the men from the mines, they have nothing. They are in a world of constant darkness, a world of constant death. The master, Marcus, is a distant, godlike figure. He lives in a world of luxury and opulence that feels a million miles away from the dirt and sweat of the fields. He comes to the fields on rare occasions to inspect his crops, to make sure his investment is paying off. He is not a cruel man, not in the way that Varro is. He is simply a man who sees you not as a person, but as an investment. You are a tool, and he is a man who expects his tools to work. The fact that you are a person, that you have a past and a soul and a family, is an inconvenient truth that he chooses to ignore. But one day, a day that changes your life forever, he sees you. He sees you not as a slave, but as a man who has lived, a man who has survived. He is on horseback, his face a mask of bored indifference. When he sees you, you are working in the fields, your body a mass of aches and pains, your mind a foggy wasteland of exhaustion. You look up, and your eyes meet his. And in that brief, silent moment, you see a flicker of something in his eyes. Not of pity, not of malice, but of something else. Curiosity. Perhaps recognition. He sees the lines on your face, the calluses on your hands, the stoop in your shoulders. He sees a man who has endured, a man who has survived, and he sees a use for you, not in the fields, not as a laborer, but as something else. The next day, you are taken from the fields. You are given new clothes, a rough tunic that is cleaner than the one you are wearing, and you are taken to the villa. The villa, a world of marble and luxury, is a dizzying, terrifying place. You are led into a room of polished floors and painted walls, a room that smells of flowers and incense, and you are presented to the master, Marcus, a man who is now not a distant god, but a close, terrifying presence. He looks at you, his eyes now a cold, calculating look, and he tells you of your new job. You are to be a caretaker, a man who looks after his horses, his dogs, his stables. You are to be a house slave, a man who lives on the precipice, a man who has fallen from the bottom and risen to a new, more dangerous height. You are no longer a cog in a vast, impersonal machine. You are a tool in a small, intricate machine of power and politics. You are now a part of the life of the master, a part of the life of the villa. You are a man who has to learn a new set of rules, a new set of customs, a new set of dangers. You are no longer in the fields, but you are not free. Your chains, though invisible, are a different, more insidious kind of suffering. They are the chains of fear, of uncertainty, of the constant threat of a fall from grace. This is a new, different kind of misery, a new, different kind of suffering. You are no longer a ghost. You are no longer a machine. You are a man who has to learn to be a man again. A man who has to learn to think, to speak, to feel. You are a man who has to learn to be a part of a new world, a new life, a new kind of misery. And you know, with a cold, terrifying certainty, that you will have to be better than you ever were before. You will have to be smarter. You will have to be faster. You will have to be more cunning. And you know that you will have to be a survivor. Because the game of survival in a Roman villa is a different, more deadly kind of game. You're a new man again, but your chains haven't been broken, they've simply been polished. The rough wool tunic of the field slave has been replaced by a clean, if simple, garment. The dirt and dust of the fields have been scrubbed from your skin, and the calluses on your hands are starting to fade. Your new world is the villa, a place of polished marble floors and painted frescoes, a place that smells of flowers and exotic perfumes. It's a world of quiet conversations, of hushed footsteps, of 1,000 unspoken rules. And in this world, you are a ghost again, a man who is seen but not truly noticed, a part of the background, a tool of the master. But this time, your anonymity is a more fragile thing, a more dangerous thing. Your new job is to tend to the stables, to care for the master's horses, his dogs, his chariot. It's a job that is less physically demanding than the fields, but it's a job that requires a different kind of vigilance. The horses are a source of pride for the master, a symbol of his wealth and his power, and you are their keeper. A sick horse, a lame dog, a broken chariot. Any of these things could earn you a beating, or worse, a return to the fields. The stakes are higher here, the game is more deadly. You learn the names of the other house slaves, a cook named Lucius, a big, jovial man who you suspect, is a bit of a thief, but a good man at heart. A personal attendant named Sylvia. A beautiful, sad woman who moves with a kind of quiet grace. A young boy, a houseboy, named Felix. A boy who reminds you of your son. A boy who is already learning the harsh lessons of this world. They are a different kind of family. A family of chains and secrets. A family that lives in the shadow of the master's power. You learn the intricate, dangerous dance of the house. You learn when to speak and when to be silent, when to be seen and when to be invisible. You learn that a kind word from the master can be a trap, a sign that he is in a good mood, and a good mood can change in an instant. You learn that a beating is not always a sign of a bad mood, but sometimes a sign of a bad day. You learn that your life is a constant, delicate balance, a constant, silent struggle for survival. But even in this world of quiet misery, there are moments of connection. Lucius, the cook, a man with a big heart, a man who knows what it is to be a ghost, often gives you a piece of bread, a piece of meat, a bit of fruit, a small rebellion against the master's laws, a small act of kindness in a world of cruelty. And Sylvia, the personal attendant, a woman who moves with a kind of quiet grace, often shares a quiet word with you, a look, a small, sad smile that tells you that she sees you, that she knows you. Historians still debate the specific relationships between masters and their house slaves, but it's generally understood to be a complex web of dependence, fear, and sometimes even a strange kind of affection. For you, on the ground, it's a confusing, terrifying, and sometimes even beautiful thing. You are a tool, a piece of property, but you are also a person, and the master, for all his power, is also a person with his own fears, his own insecurities, his own moments of kindness and cruelty. This is the new misery, the new suffering. It is a more intimate, more personal kind of pain. One day, you're tending to the master's favorite horse, a magnificent white stallion named Imperator. The master, Marcus, is in the stables, watching you, his face a mask of bored indifference. He asks you a question in that harsh tongue, a question you don't understand. You just shake your head, a silent, humble gesture. He laughs. A short, humorless bark. He says something to you, a long, complicated sentence. And you still don't understand. He points to the horse, to the tack, to the feed, and you, in a moment of sheer, blind terror. Say something in your own language. A word, a sentence, a small, desperate cry of a man who is lost. He looks at you, his face a mixture of surprise and a kind of cruel amusement. He laughs again, a loud, bellowing sound that echoes through the stables. He says something to you, a word, a phrase, a mocking imitation of your own language, and you, in that moment of utter, complete humiliation, you learn a new lesson. You learn that even in this world of quiet misery, your identity, your past, your language, can be a weapon to be used against you. The next few weeks are a blur of hard, thankless work. The master, Marcus, seems to have forgotten you. The humiliation, the shame, the constant, low-level fear, it's a constant companion. But then, one evening, as you're tending to the horses, he comes to you. He is alone, a man in the quiet of his own thoughts. He doesn't say a word, just watches you. You, in a moment of sheer, blind instinct, continue your work. You are a ghost again, a man who is seen but not noticed. He watches you for a long, quiet moment, and then he says something to you. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't mock. He just speaks. A simple, clear sentence. And you understand it. It is a simple command. Feed the horses. You do. You feed them. You water them. You groom them. He watches you. A silent, watchful presence. And then, as you are finishing your work, he says something to you. It's a long, complicated sentence. A question. And you, in a moment of sheer, blind courage, you try to answer. You use the words you know. The simple, broken phrases. And he listens. He listens to you. A slave? A ghost? A thing. He listens to your broken language, to your simple words. And he, in his infinite power, in his infinite cruelty, he helps you. He corrects you. He teaches you. He, in a cruel, detached way, is your teacher and you, in your infinite humiliation, in your infinite desperation. You learn his language. You learn his world. You learn to be a man again, a man with a name, a man with a voice, a man who, in a world of quiet misery, is finally, truly, a person. The villa has become a strange, unsettling home. You're no longer just a ghost, a silent figure in the background. You are now a part of the household, a man with a specific role, a man who is seen and, in a way, heard. The master, Marcus, in his own cruel, detached way, has become your teacher. You learn the Latin tongue, word by word, phrase by phrase. A slow, painful process of repetition and correction. The language, once a harsh, guttural sound, is now a key that unlocks a new world of understanding, a new world of danger. You learn about the Roman world, not from the whispers of the other slaves, but from the conversations of the master and his guests. You hear them talk of politics, of wars, of triumphs. You hear them talk of the latest gossip, the latest scandals, the latest plays. You are a silent witness to a world of power and privilege that is a million miles away from your own. And in your silence, in your invisibility, you learn. You learn that the Roman world is a world of appearances, a world of intricate social hierarchies, a world where a wrong word, a wrong gesture, can be a deadly mistake. But the language is not just a key to a new world, it's also a mirror to your own. You learn that in the Roman world. You are not a man. You are a service, a slave. The word, a simple four-letter sound, is a branding, a mark of your status, a constant, ugly reminder of your new reality. You learn that a slave has no rights, no family, no name of his own. You learn that a slave is a thing, a piece of property, a tool to be used and discarded at will. The language, once a key to freedom, is now a lock that keeps you in your place, a lock that keeps you a slave. Your new life in the villa is a different kind of misery. It is not the brutal, physical misery of the fields, the endless sun, the back-breaking labor. It is a more subtle, more insidious kind of suffering. It is the misery of being a ghost in a world of people. It is the misery of being a tool in a world of human beings. It is the misery of knowing that you are a man with a past, a man with a soul, but in this world, in this language, you are a thing. You find a small, quiet rebellion in the language. You learn the words for hope, for freedom, for dignity. You learn the words for family, for love, for home. You learn these words, not to speak them, but to hold them in your heart. A small, precious rebellion against the master who wants to take your identity. These words, in their silence, in their secrecy, are a small piece of your old life, a small piece of your old self. They are a way of holding on to the memory of who you once were. A recurring detail in Roman history is that a slave could be a person of great skill and education, with many slaves serving as doctors, teachers, and accountants. You see this in the other slaves. Lucius, the cook, is not just a man who cooks, he is a man who creates, a man who knows the intricate art of Roman cuisine. Sylvia, the personal attendant, is not just a woman who serves, she is a woman who knows the intricate art of Roman politics, a woman who knows the secrets of the master and his guest. They are all people of great skill and great education, people who, in their old lives, would have been respected and honored. But here, in this world, in this language, they are just slaves. They are just things. One evening, as you are tending to the master's dogs, you hear a conversation. It's the master and one of his friends. They are talking about a slave who has just gained his freedom. The conversation is a mix of disdain and amusement. They talk about the slave's new name, his new life, his new status as a freedman. They talk about how a freedman is not a real man, not a real citizen. They talk about how a freedman, no matter how much money he makes, no matter how much power he gains, will always be a slave in their eyes. They laugh, a cruel, mocking sound, and you, in your silence, in your invisibility, you listen, and you learn a new lesson. You learn that freedom, in the Roman world, is not a simple thing. It is not a thing to be won in a single moment. It is a slow, painful, and often impossible process. You learn that even a freedman, a man who has broken his chains, is still a ghost. A man who is not a real man. A man who is not a real citizen. The conversation is a harsh, brutal truth. A truth that shatters the small, foolish hope you had in your heart. The hope that one day, you too could be a freedman. The hope that one day, you too could be free. But the conversation, for all its cruelty, is also a gift. It is a gift of a kind of a hard, brutal knowledge. It is a knowledge that you will have to be better than you ever were before. You will have to be smarter. You will have to be faster. You will have to be more cunning. And you will have to be a survivor. Because the game of survival, in the Roman world, is a game that you will have to play. Not for a day, not for a week, but for a lifetime. The villa, with its polished floors and painted walls, is a cage of a different kind. The chains are invisible, forged of fear and silence and 1,000 unspoken rules. You, the man who once lived a life of brutal physical labor, now live a life of quiet, psychological suffering. The language, once a harsh guttural sound, is now a weapon, a tool, a key to a world you were never meant to enter. You understand the conversations of the master and his guests, the intricate dance of Roman politics and power. You understand that in this world, a word can be more deadly than a whip, one will look more cruel than a beating. And you understand that your existence is a fragile thing, a constant, delicate balance between being seen and being invisible. But even in this world of quiet misery, a new kind of hope, a new kind of rebellion begins to stir. A new slave arrives, a man named Quintus, a man who, like you, was once a free man. He is a man with a quiet dignity, a man who moves with a sense of purpose. He is a man who, you learn, has a secret. He has a plan. He is a man who believes that freedom, even a limited, conditional freedom, is a thing to be fought for. He tells you of the process of manumission, the process by which a slave can gain their freedom. He tells you that it is a long, difficult, and often impossible process. He tells you that a slave can be freed by the master, by a master's will, or by a slave who buys his own freedom. He tells you that a slave can buy his own freedom with money he has earned from his master, money he has saved, money he has acquired through cleverness or cunning. A common historical truth is that the promise of manumission was often used by Roman masters as a tool to incentivize their slaves, encouraging them to work harder and remain loyal. You see this in Quintus. He is a man who works with a kind of detached efficiency, a man who is always looking for an opportunity, a man who is always saving a little bit of money, a little bit of coin, a little bit of hope. He is a man who is not a ghost. He is a man who is not a machine. He is a man with a goal, a man with a dream. and in his quiet determination, in his quiet hope. You see a new kind of rebellion. A rebellion not of a sword, but of a coin. A rebellion not of a legion, but of a man. You and Quintus become a part of a small, secret community within the villa. A community of slaves who are all working towards the same goal: freedom. You are all a part of a quiet conspiracy. A conspiracy of hope. You learn from Quintus the intricate art of Roman accounting. The art of keeping track of the money. The art of saving. The art of acquiring. You learn to be a thief, a liar, a man who can bend the rules, a man who can find a loophole, a man who can, in a small, quiet way, take back a piece of your life. The master, Marcus, is oblivious to this quiet conspiracy. He sees you. He sees Quintus. He sees the other slaves. He sees you all working, all serving, all obeying. He sees you all as tools, as pieces of property. He does not see you as men with dreams, with hopes, with a quiet, burning desire for freedom. He does not see you as a community, a family, a rebellion. He sees what he wants to see, and in his blindness, in his ignorance, you find your strength, you find your power, you find your freedom. The journey is long and difficult. The money is hard to come by, and the risks are great. A wrong move, a misplaced coin, a slip of the tongue, any of these things could get you a beating. A banishment to the fields, or worse. But you are not alone. You have Quintus. You have the other slaves. You have a community of hope, a family of dreams. And you, in your old age, are no longer a man who is just surviving. You are a man who is living. You are a man who is fighting. You are a man who is finally, truly, a person again. The final piece of the puzzle falls into place. Quintus has enough money. He has saved enough. He has acquired enough. He has the money to buy his freedom. He goes to the master. Marcus, a man who is now not a distant god, but a close, terrifying presence. He presents the money, the hard-earned coin, the symbol of his quiet rebellion, and the master. Marcus, in his own cruel, detached way, accepts it. He signs the papers. The papers that say that Quintus is no longer a slave. He is a freedman. He is a person. He is free. Quintus leaves the villa. A man who has broken his chains. A man who has won his freedom. He leaves the villa. A man with a new name. A man with a new life. A man with a new future. And you, in your old age, you watch him go. You watch him go. Your heart a mixture of joy and a quiet, bitter sadness. He is free. He is a person. And you, in your old age. You are still a slave, but you are not a man who is broken. You are a man who is not defeated. You are a man who is not a ghost. You are a man who has a dream of freedom, a dream of hope, a dream of a new life. And you know, with a quiet, burning certainty, that your journey, your fight, is not over. The hope of manumission, once a faint and distant star, is now a burning ember in your heart. You've seen it happen. Quintus is a free man, walking the streets of Rome as a person, not as property. His freedom is a testament to the fact that the Roman system, for all its cruelty, is not entirely unbreakable. It is a system with cracks, with loopholes, with avenues for a determined man to find his way to a new life. And you, in your old age, are a determined man. You are a man with a new purpose. You are a man with a new hope. Your life in the villa, once a source of quiet misery, is now a source of quiet rebellion. You work with a kind of detached efficiency, a man who is always looking for an opportunity, always saving a little bit of money, always looking for a way to break free. The other slaves, the ones who were a part of your small, secret community, are still there, still working, still hoping, You are a family of chains, a community of hope, a small, silent rebellion in the heart of the Roman Empire. But the whispers of hope are not the only whispers in the villa. There are other whispers, whispers of a more violent, more desperate kind of rebellion. Whispers of a man named Spartacus, a man who has raised an army of slaves and gladiators against the Roman legions. The stories are wild, improbable things, full of victories and defeats, of a great army of slaves marching across the Roman countryside. A tidal wave of a people who have finally said enough. The stories are whispered in hushed tones, in the dead of night, in the dark of the slave quarters. They are a dangerous, beautiful dream that lives in the hearts of every slave, a dream that is both terrifying and exhilarating. A common historical truth is that the Third Servile War, led by Spartacus, was the largest and most successful slave revolt in Roman history, a fact that terrified the Roman elite. You listen to the stories, your heart a mixture of fear and hope, your mind a battlefield of what is and what could be. You know that rebellion is a fool's errand, that the Roman legions are too powerful, too vast, too merciless. You know that Spartacus and his army, no matter how great they are doomed to fail, but you also know that hope, even a small, foolish hope, is the only thing that keeps you going. You, in your old age, are no longer a man who is just surviving. You are a man who is dreaming. You are a man who is hoping. You are a man who is finally, truly, a person again. The master, Marcus, is oblivious to these whispers. He lives in a world of power and privilege, a world that is 1,000,000 miles away from the silent suffering of his slaves. He talks of Spartacus, not with a look of fear, but with a look of disdain and amusement. He sees Spartacus not as a symbol of hope, but as a criminal, a gladiator who has gotten too big for his britches. He sees Spartacus as a problem to be solved, a nuisance to be dealt with. He does not see Spartacus as a man with a dream, a man with a cause, a man with an army. He sees what he wants to see, and in his blindness, in his ignorance, you find your strength, you find your power, you find your freedom. The whispers of Spartacus grow louder, more frequent, more desperate. He and his army are getting closer to your villa, to your master, to your world. The master. Marcus begins to get nervous. He starts to talk of moving his family, of moving his valuables, of moving to the city, to the safety of the walls. He starts to talk of raising a local militia, of arming his slaves, of training them to fight. And you, in your old age, you listen to him, a cruel, mocking smile on your face. He is a man who is now afraid, a man who is now vulnerable, a man who is now, for the first time, not a distant god, but a close, terrified presence. The rebellion, for all its glory and its hope, is doomed to fail. The Roman legions, with their infinite power, their infinite resources, their infinite cruelty, will eventually catch up with Spartacus and his army. But the rebellion, for all its failure, is not a failure. It is a symbol. It is a dream. It is a testament to the fact that even in a world of chains, even in a world of suffering, a man can still dream of freedom. And you, in your old age, you are a man who is dreaming. You are a man who is hoping. You are a man who is finally, truly, a person again. The dream of Spartacus, once a fire that burned so brightly across the Roman countryside, has been extinguished. You hear the whispers, not of victories, but of defeats, not of freedom, but of capture and death. The master, Marcus, returns to the villa from the city, his face a mask of smug satisfaction. The rebellion is over. The slaves are defeated. Order has been restored. He talks of the brutality of the legions, of the thousands of crucified slaves lining the Appian Way. A grim, brutal message to any who would dare to dream of freedom. The stories are a harsh, brutal truth, a truth that shatters the small, foolish hope you had in your heart, the hope that one day you too could be free. The master, Marcus, is no longer a distant, godlike figure. He is a man who is now confident, a man who is now in control. The threat of Spartacus is gone, and he is back to his old ways, his old cruelties, his old indifference. The villa returns to its rhythm of quiet misery, its rhythm of unspoken rules and invisible chains. The other slaves, the ones who were a part of your small, secret community, are now silent. The fire of hope has been extinguished, replaced by a cold, numbing fear. They know that a man who dreams of freedom in the Roman world is a man who is doomed to die. A common historical truth is that the brutal suppression of the Spartacus rebellion was a deliberate act of terror by the Roman Republic, designed to prevent any future uprisings. You see this in the actions of the master, Marcus. He is not just a man who is in control. He is a man who is a part of the system, a system that is designed to keep you in your place, a system that is designed to keep you a slave. He talks of the executions, the brutal punishments, the grim message that has been sent to all the slaves in the Roman world. He talks of the lessons that have been learned, the lessons of obedience, the lessons of compliance, the lessons of fear. But you, in your old age, are not a man who has learned this lesson. You are a man who has seen too much. You have seen a life of freedom, and you have seen a life of slavery. You have seen the brutality of the Roman legions, and you have seen the bravery of a man who would fight for his freedom. You have seen the hope of Spartacus, and you have seen the brutal suppression of that hope. And in all of this suffering, in all of this misery, in all of this hope and all of this despair, you have learned a new lesson. You have learned that freedom is not a thing to be won in a single moment. It is a thing to be fought for day by day, year by year. In the small acts of defiance, in the quiet rebellion of your heart, in the memory of who you once were. The master, Marcus, is a man who is now confident, a man who is now in control. But you, in your old age, are a man who is now wise. You are a man who is no longer a ghost. You are a man who is no longer a machine. You are a man who is finally, truly, a person again. And you know, with a quiet, burning certainty, that your journey, your fight, is not over. The chains may be back, the hope may be gone, but the memory of Spartacus, the memory of freedom, the memory of who you once were, is a thing that can never be extinguished. It is a thing that will live in your heart, in your soul, in your very being. And it is a thing that will, one day, be passed on to the next generation of slaves, to the next generation of rebels, to the next generation of men and women who will, one day, finally, truly, be free. The years that followed the Spartacus rebellion are a time of quiet resignation. The grand, glorious dream of a slave army has been replaced by the grim reality of a life in chains. The master, Marcus, is no longer a man who is afraid. He is a man who is confident, a man who is in control. The villa, with its polished floors and painted walls, is a cage of a different kind, a cage of quiet misery and unspoken rules. You, the man who once lived a life of hope, now live a life of memory. The stories of Spartacus, of Quintus, of the hope of freedom, they are a part of your past, a part of the past of all the slaves in the villa. They are a memory, a story, a legend, a thing that is whispered in the dark, a thing that is held in the heart. Your body, once strong and able, is now old and weary. The lines on your face are a map of your suffering, a testament to the life you have lived. The calluses on your hands, once a source of shame, are now a source of pride, a symbol of your endurance, a symbol of your survival. You are no longer a man who is just surviving. You are a man who has lived. You are a man who has endured. You are a man who, in his old age, has finally, truly, found a kind of peace. The master, Marcus, is now an old man, his body a shadow of its former self. He is a man who is now not a distant god, but a close, frail presence. He is a man who is now not a master, but a man who is at the end of his life. He is a man who, in his old age, has finally, truly, found a kind of humanity. He talks to you, not as a master to a slave, but as an old man to another old man. He talks of his life, of his triumphs, of his regrets. He talks of a world that is now in the past, a world that is now a memory. And you, in your old age. You listen to him, a quiet, silent presence. A man who has finally, truly found a kind of dignity. The end of the road comes in the form of a quiet, peaceful death. Not in the fields, not in the mines, not in the rebellion, but in your sleep, in your bed, in your home. You die. Not as a slave, but as a man, you die. Not as a thing, but as a person, you die. Not as a ghost, but as a man who has a name, a man who has a past, a man who has a dignity, you die. And you are buried. Not in a mass grave, but in a small, quiet plot of land. A plot of land that is a part of the villa. A plot of land that is a part of your home. You are buried, and your name, the name you once had, the name you once lost, is now a part of the history of the villa. It is a part of the history of the slaves, the history of the masters, the history of the Roman Empire. It is a small, quiet, but powerful thing. The end of the road is not the end of the story. The stories of Spartacus, of Quintus, of the hope of freedom, they are a thing that is now a part of your legacy. They are a thing that is now a part of the memory of the slaves in the villa, a thing that is a part of the memory of the slaves in the Roman Empire. They are a thing that is a part of the history of all the men and women who have ever dreamed of freedom, who have ever fought for their dignity, who have ever, in a world of chains and suffering, finally, truly, found a kind of peace. The fire of the rebellion, once extinguished, is now a small, quiet ember, burning in the hearts of the slaves, burning in the hearts of the freedmen, burning in the hearts of the men and women who will one day, finally, truly, be free. The story of a miserable life has ended, but the story of a new nation, a story of a new people, a story of a new hope, has just begun.